That clogged EGR. Those carbon-covered pistons. That engine that gave up at 150,000 kilometers. What if I told you none of that happens to a military truck? Same engine, same roads. Lasts decades longer. You want to know why? Start with this. This is the official manual for a 2024 Toyota Camry sold in the United States. It recommends 0W20 oil and warns that anything else could damage your engine. Now open the manual for the exact same car, same engine, sold in Germany. It recommends 5W30, sometimes 5W40. The engine is identical. The only thing that changed is the regulation. One company, one engine, two different instructions depending on which government is watching. If they will do that openly in the manual, imagine what else has been quietly decided for you. That is what this video is about. The first difference is the one that costs diesel owners the most money and causes the most damage they never see coming. Military vehicles are exempt from it entirely by law, the official reason being that the fuel available in combat zones would destroy it within weeks. On your car, it sits in the exhaust stream, creating back pressure on every single drive. Every few hundred kilometers, the engine injects fuel directly into the exhaust to burn off accumulated soot, fuel that produces zero forward motion, going straight out the tailpipe. And here is what nobody in the service industry will tell you. That cleaning cycle burns soot, but it does not burn ash. Ash is the mineral residue left behind after every cycle. It accumulates permanently on the filter walls, reducing capacity with every clean, until the unit hits its maximum load and must be replaced regardless of maintenance history. When it starts blocking flow, the damage spreads. The turbo overheats. Unburned fuel dilutes the engine oil. The EGR carbons up. Injectors wear. One component starts a chain reaction through the entire drivetrain. That component is the diesel particulate filter. Military trucks run none of it. And while we are talking about what is happening inside your engine, the next point is something most drivers never think to question, because the manufacturer made the decision for them before the car left the factory. Modern civilian engines are filled from new with oils so thin they barely coat your fingers. 0W20, 0W16 on some newer platforms. The reason has nothing to do with what is best for your engine. Thinner oil creates less internal resistance, which shaves fractions off the official fuel consumption figure, which helps manufacturers hit emissions targets on paper. What it does not do is protect your engine under load. Thin oil has lower film strength, breaks down faster under heat and shear, and offers significantly less protection during the moments your engine needs it most. Military and heavy-duty fleet engines run 15W40 or 5W40. Oils engineered to maintain a proper lubrication film when temperatures climb and stress increases. The fix here is simple. Check your engine's tolerance range and run the thickest grade it supports. On any engine past 100,000 kilometers, it is one of the most impactful changes you can make at almost zero cost. Which brings us to something related that you technically cannot fix, but can manage better than you probably are. Look at the fuel going into your tank. In most countries, pump diesel is now legally blended with up to 10% ethanol. Ethanol absorbs moisture from the atmosphere, degrades rubber seals and fuel lines over time, and carries lower energy density than pure diesel, meaning the fuel economy and power figures your car was measured against were tested on something cleaner than what you are actually running. Military vehicles use pure fuel. No blends. You cannot replicate that at a public pump, but you can add a quality fuel additive designed to displace moisture and protect seals. And never leave a near-empty tank sitting for extended periods. Ethanol draws atmospheric moisture fastest when the tank is low. Small habit, real difference over time. Here is one that has nothing to do with the engine, but is destroying components on every road you drive, entirely by design. Modern tires are engineered to look aggressive and perform well on smooth surfaces. A 35 or 40 profile sidewall has almost no flex. Every pothole, every expansion joint, every rough surface sends its full force directly to the rim, the hub bearing, and the suspension arm. Over time, that repeated impact stress cracks rims, accelerates wear in wheel bearings, and degrades suspension bushings far faster than the manufacturer's service schedule accounts for. Military tires run high sidewalls with multiple layers of rubber, nylon, and steel, because in the field, a sidewall failure ends the mission. The civilian equivalent is straightforward. Run the highest profile your wheel size allows. More sidewall means more absorption. And that absorption is protecting every suspension component below it on every road you drive. Now the one that the entire automotive maintenance industry has quietly buried under dashboard indicators and marketing language. Military and fleet vehicles are not serviced when a light comes on. They are serviced on fixed calendar intervals, regardless of use. Because thermal cycling, moisture contamination, and oxidation degrade fluids whether you drive the vehicle or not. A car that sits for months and then does short cold trips is not well served by a 15,000-kilometer oil change interval. Beyond oil, there is the transmission. You have probably heard the phrase, lifetime fluid. It does not mean the fluid lasts a lifetime. It means the manufacturer built the unit so that most owners would never think to open it. Transmission fluid degrades from heat and shear. Clutch material contaminates it. By 60 to 80,000 kilometers, it is brown, regardless of what the service sticker says. Military and fleet operators change it on schedule, without exception. Pick a fixed calendar interval for your oil, drain the gearbox on mileage, and ignore every indicator that tells you it is fine. This one is responsible for more premature engine wear than most drivers will ever connect to the cause. Every time you pull up to a red light, your engine cuts. Silence. Then it fires again when you touch the accelerator, dozens of times on a single commute. The manufacturer calls it a fuel-saving feature. What they do not mention is that every one of those restarts happens before oil pressure has had time to redistribute. Metal contacting metal. Cold, unlubricated, on repeat. Military maintenance protocol runs on the exact opposite philosophy. You idle before you load an engine, and you idle before you shut it down. That feature is called auto stop start. On most cars, there is a button that disables it. Press it every time you start. On cars that reset each ignition cycle, cheap plug-in modules make the setting permanent. It costs nothing and removes one of the most destructive habits your car performs entirely by default. Connected to that is something even simpler that costs you nothing but 60 seconds. Before you move off, let the engine idle. 30 seconds at minimum, 60 in cold weather. Not revving, not loading, just letting oil pressure build and distribute before you ask anything of the engine. The first moments of any cold start account for a disproportionate share of total engine wear across its entire life. Military vehicles never move before the engine is ready, neither should yours. And when you arrive after a hard motorway run, the same logic applies in reverse. Do not cut the engine the moment you park. Your turbocharger has been spinning at over 150,000 RPM, cooled and lubricated by pressurized oil flowing through the bearing housing. The moment you cut ignition, that oil flow stops. But the housing is still hot. The residual oil bakes inside the bearing in a process called coking, and those carbon deposits accumulate gradually until the bearing fails. 2 minutes of idle at the end of every long drive eliminates this entirely. Military and fleet protocols have included turbo cooldown as standard procedure for decades. It disappeared from civilian culture the moment turbocharged engines went mainstream, and manufacturers stopped mentioning it. The last point is climate-specific, but if it applies to you, it is the most cost-effective single investment on this list. The most damaging moment in your engine's day is a cold start. Oil has drained from the upper components overnight. Temperatures are low, and for the first 30 seconds, the engine is running on residual film alone. In cold climates, military and fleet vehicles use block heaters as standard, keeping coolant and oil at near operating temperature overnight so the engine starts warm. A block heater is inexpensive to install and eliminates the most destructive start condition your engine faces every winter morning. If you park outside in a cold climate and you are not using one, your engine is paying the price every single day. None of what you just heard requires a garage, a specialist, or an expensive modification. These are habits and decisions, the same ones that keep military hardware running for decades on the same engines your car is quietly wearing through. The difference was never the machine, it was always what you do with it.